First off, thank you for purchasing our NTS-2 Eurorack conversion kit. This is going to be a quick walkthrough guide on how to put your kit together, so let's do it. The first thing you're going to want to do is flip your unit over and remove any batteries. If you have batteries installed, you don't want them in the kit whenever we put this in the rack. So we're going to remove our batteries and put the battery door back on. Next, we're going to use a Phillips head screwdriver and remove the top 4 screws. From here, you're going to take the supplied power, 16 pin to USB-C, and we're going to plug that into the back of the unit. And remember that everything is attached to this top plate here. So you'll notice if I move it, it moves all the connections back. So you want to make sure you push that forward like that. And then we're going to plug the USB angled down into the back of the unit. Now it's time to start attaching the cables. For this part, I like to put a towel down just to make sure you don't scratch the faceplate. So this is what you would have received. It's the faceplate with all the TRS cables attached. You can see everything's already attached here. So we're going to take our unit and start plugging these cables in. Now it's good to take a note of which cables are which. And if you look on the front, you're going to see input 1, it's this top cable. That's input 1 and 2. The one next to it is 3 and 4. Below that, you have your through ports, which are towards the bottom. And your outputs, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. And we're going to connect all of these to the unit. So again, we'll flip this over and we can start connecting these here. Again, you're going to want to push forward to make sure you keep those ports peeking out there. So let's start with the first and second input cables, which will go to these far connectors on this side, inputs 1 and 2. So this far one is our inputs 1 and 2. It's a stereo cable. So we're going to connect that like that. You'll notice I do this little arch, and that's because you want the cables to be faced up like this. Now we can connect the next one, which is this one here, inputs 3 and 4, which is 2, because this is a stereo jack as well. We made the cables extra long, so you have some room. Boom. So now the top 2 are going to the top 2 here. The next thing we're going to do is connect the lower 2, which are the through ports, to the through 1 and 2. So the furthest one to the right. Again, you want to push those up. Like that. And the next one is 3 and 4 or 2. We'll go like that. Make sure they're all faced up. So that's where we're at right now. Okay. 1 and 2. Bottom ones to the through 1 and 2. The next ones are just the outputs. So outputs 1 and 2. So you're going to take your output cable. Don't worry too much about how these are ran. Like that. And our output 2. And we'll plug that in there. Just so you can take a quick look. From here, we're going to want to push this through the faceplate. And again, you might have to kind of wiggle it a little bit. Shuffle them through, move them around, and it'll start to slowly get it on here, just like that. All right, now we're through. We have the faceplate and all the wires attached. Now let's go ahead and put our 4 screws back in. We're going to take a screw here. I found it easier to hold this up and make sure everything's aligned. And just put the screw in there. Get them all started. Then we can tighten it down. Again, not too tight, you don't want to scratch anything. Final step here before we install this into the rack, the power activation component. This is what you would have received. One side has a small indent, which is where the power button is going to get pushed down. So we're going to want that indent facing the power button. Now what we're going to do here is unscrew these screws closest to the power button, which is right there. You can take your power activation component. I have found it to be a little easier to start the screws in the actual component itself. Just like that, not too much, with the indent facing the power button. Place it like that, and you can start screwing them down. The whole point here is that this little activator is going to hold the power button down. So that way, when you turn on the power for your rack, it will automatically power the unit on without you having to push the button. These don't need to be super tight, just snug. That's it. Now the button's being pushed down. Okay, we have our rack here. We're ready to go to get this installed. Just one quick note that I want to mention. After you've installed the power activator component, we want to make sure that button is getting pushed down. And one way to just verify and confirm that is to just slightly loosen these screws, just a little on each one. And then what you're gonna wanna do is push down on your unit. So you're gonna wanna push the NTS-2 down, not the top plate of it. And what that's gonna do is that's gonna ensure that all the ports are getting pushed out to the back and the button is getting compressed by the activator. So you're gonna wanna hold down like that. You can also put your finger here like this and push down on your unit. And while you're holding down, just tighten those screws. Again, this is just going to confirm that that activator is holding that power button down. Okay, so once we have that all ready to go, place this inside your rack. We're going to connect our 16 pin to power like that, using the 4 included M3 screws. Go ahead and get it installed in your rack. And once we have it installed, flip the power. There you go. You're ready to roll.